very much. Good morning, church. I would like to acknowledge the presence of my father, Dr. Prophet Kazadi. He is my mentor, my teacher. He's been there for me all the time, and I really respect and honor you, Papa. Mama, I want to say thank you for being in church with us today. We love you. My testimony actually dates back to 2012 when I joined the House of Deliverance. That was in April. In May, I think somewhere in May or June, we had a crossover. An overnight, sorry. It was an overnight at Woodlands. But before then, my contract was coming to an end. You know, those that started work, I think, after 1995 or after 2000 at the University of Zambia, they will agree with me that all the people that were employed on contractual obligations. So when I was given a job at the University of Zambia, that was in 2010, it was, of course, a contract. So first of all, you're on probation, 2 years. And after 2 years, you are given another contract for 4 years. So when my 2-year contract was coming to an end, I was not so certain whether I was going to get the 4-year contract. So I spoke to my father. I told him my contract will be coming to an end. And my contract was coming to an end in August. That was 2012. It was coming to an end in 2012, August. So I spoke to him. I told him. Then he spoke to me. He said, I don't like, these jobs of contracts. And I don't see you continuing with the so-called contract of yours. Okay, fine. You are getting your contract. And I remember that day when we had an overnight, he prophesied in my life. He told me, your contract has been granted. That was a 4-year contract that I was given in 2012. It was granted. And, it's amazing. I got my contract before, I think 3 months before the first contract came to an end. Yes. So I was still serving a 2-year contract when I got my 4-year contract. So in April, in August, I continued with my 4-year contract. So he told me, he said, this is the last contract. That's what he said. This is the last contract. To be honest, church, I did not see that working out, the so-called last contract, ever, coming to fruition in my life. Because I look at the system. There's a system, there are systems in all these institutions. When you're on contract, you're on contract. And you have to go on being on contract. After 4 years, you renew your contract. And then if they are happy with the way you work, they grant you another contract. If they are not happy with the way you work, they are going to terminate your contract. Now, my 4-year contract was coming to an end this year in August. That's when it was coming to an end. And in this particular contract I'm in now, I remember when we were doing a work plan, I said I needed to do my PhD. And if I did not go to school, the time when I was supposed to renew this contract, they were going to raise a lot of queries, and maybe I wasn't going to be given my contract. So I had to really strategize and see how best I would go to school, just to run away from my contract being terminated. So I went to school. It was okay. But then last month, I don't know what is happening at the University of Zambia because I'm at school. Last month in May, and I've not shared with you, Papa. Last month in May, the secretary in our department called me and said, that everyone who is below 60 years and those that have not yet retired have been migrated to permanent employment. So I said, what? He said, yes, and in fact, in the department, you are among the first 3 that have received their letters. So since I was still aware, I requested if she could scan the letter because I was just given 3 days to sign, to accept. So she scanned the letter and sent it to me. I signed, and then it was sent back. I know some people, especially those that my colleagues at the University of Zambia, are wondering, how can this be, a testimony? For me, it is a testimony because it was spoken in my life years back in 2012 that this is the last contract that you are getting. It's the last contract. The next one will not be a contract, but you are going to be given permanent employment. And right now, I'm a permanent employee of the University of Zambia, pensionable. The word that was spoken to me in 2012 has come to pass this year, 2013. And I want to encourage someone here. When the prophet of God has spoken in your life, you might doubt that word. You might doubt what he has said to you. But be rest assured that that word is not in vain. Papa is our prophet and he represents God. He is a voice of God. I doubted, knowing the system. I didn't know that this would come to pass, that I would be on permanent employment. And I remember again, I remember years back, when he could teach us, he could, encourage us. He said, when you're an anointed child, you sit under the anointing. Everybody that surrounds you benefits from that anointing. So that word was spoken in 2012. I'm not the only one who has benefited from migrating from contractual obligations to permanent. Everybody else has benefited, and almost everyone who is below 60 years has benefited, and they have migrated to permanent employment. So please, take whatever has been spoken seriously. You might doubt, that it might look fuzzy, okay? It might look gray, but at the end of the tunnel, there's always light. Do not doubt what Papa speaks in our lives. And this is proof, actually, that I have migrated to permanent employment.